whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, we are going to review Captain Mar-Vell today on Marvel Movie News, and we are going to break down the Avengers Endgame trailer that just dropped on us this morning. We've collectively watched it probably 36 times between us. We're going to break it down with our special guest, Joelle Monique. Let's dive into it on today's Marvel Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Oh, good afternoon to you, our merry Marvelites! Have we got a show for you today? I thought we had a packed show. I thought we had a lot to talk about this morning when I woke up. But then I turned on my phone and they dropped a trailer on us.
Before
the show. Hey guys, this is Marvel Movie News. We are coming to you live from Project Pegasus HQ, deep in the bowels of S.H.I.E.L.D. This week we're going to talk about Captain Mar-Vell. We are going to do a full review of Captain Mar-Vell. Don't worry, we will warn you when we are going to give spoilers so that you guys who haven't had a chance to see it yet can run out to the theaters and see it. We are going to break down the Avengers Endgame trailer at length, toss some other news in there real quick if there's time. But before we do that, let's introduce who we got. I'm Zach Wilson. You know who I am.
I'm Xia Anderson. You also know who I am, I think.
And that's Kristian Bladt.
You don't know who I am. I'm Kristian Bladt.
No one knows who you are.
But
Kristian.
I want to welcome to the show. I think this is your first time on the show, Joelle.
Since the new crew, yeah.
Since the new crew.
Since
Okay.
this iteration, yeah.
I couldn't remember. I was gone for a while.
That's fair.
I had a trip to Latveria. I had to come back. It's a different person. Joelle Monique.
Hey.
Joelle, you've written articles for everywhere from like the Hollywood Reporter, right? You are certified on Rotten Tomatoes.
Sure, yeah.
You affect that number.
I do.
The real
I have
number.
the power. I try to use it responsibly.
Thank you for that. So I don't want to stall any longer.
Yeah, no, we gotta get into
except to
it.
thank our engineer Marissa in the booth and Colpado, who's helping us out on social media from the Star Jammer, which has never been more appropriate than right now that he's in the Star Jammer. Let's start out talking about that Endgame trailer, and then we're going to talk about Captain Mar-Vell towards not even the back half of the show because we're going to get to it as quickly as possible.
Yes.
But stick around because we will. What'd you guys think of that trailer?
Woo! When they sucked all the color out, and I was like, oh my God, it's going to be sad. We're going to cry. And like, what a perfect timing. Like, Carol's been out for like, has it been a week? I don't know. I saw the movie so long ago. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a week, exactly.
It's less than a week.
Okay.
It's been out for 6 days.
Okay, so to like give, the Uber fans who were going to see it right away and be like, so we know that we got you guys all kinds of jazzed for this, and now here it is. And not only that, you're going to get some Thor Captain Mar-Vell action, which my whole heart soul, because they're like two of my favorite characters, and they both have space to be so doofy and weird, and so to see them like challenging each other, and it's almost like a visual arm wrestling competition, and I loved it.
That was a favorite moment of mine as well. Seeing that in the theater, the trailer, I was like,
So good.
Thor is one of my favorites.
This is a trailer that, if it was possible, it got me more hyped.
Yes.
And like honestly, it was just, this is a really well cut trailer.
Yeah.
Like they didn't give us a ton of stuff. Like
And they mostly gave us old stuff.
It's mostly half of it is old footage, and that's just like for the cap of the movie. You're giving us a recap of like how we got here. So like watching a moment, like moments from the original Iron Man, moments from it was actually from Winter Soldier, not the first Avenger, but it was only more meaningful for those moments. And then you're just seeing Thor and Odin. It's so good.
And they're definitely going for a vibe of get ready to say goodbye to old friends and meet some new ones.
Oh,
The
don't say
reliving
that.
the Peggy Carter funeral. I was like, I didn't need this today, Marvel.
Well, let's go through the trailer because that was a big moment, and a lot of people are talking about it. Right up top, if Marissa, if you could skip down to the Endgame set of pictures, which are I hopefully numbered them in order. I tried to. Starting with the ship, we see Tony. Like, so I didn't pull the photos of like the flashbacks.
I mean, I need those.
You guys have seen those movies.
I hope so.
But we got a wider shot of like Tony and Nebula on the ship, like this beautiful shot of the.
Yeah.
It looks so good. But then skipping forward, all right, so we're gonna go through this moment by moment.
Hey, Kate, I hope that you're Asian.
So many things that people are talking about.
Yes.
This character, whoever it is.
It better be Kate Bishop.
Well, a lot of people think it could be Kate Bishop. Obviously, it's somebody shooting arrows. But, do you guys think that it is Kate? Because my instinct tells me no.
My guess is they're going to make it his daughter.
Yes.
Because
That's what I thought.
that brings it in, because clearly we see him later and there's a lot of speculation that he's, oh gosh, I'm blanking on who he morphs into.
Ronan.
Yeah. Speculation is that he's going to be Ronan by the time Black Widow finds him. But I also think that maybe he's already been Ronan. He looks like he's potentially in Japan as Ronan when he's on the street, which means we could very well have a Kate Bishop out of there. Maybe he finds like a substitute. Listen, my mind is going to keep it Kate Bishop in my head canon until it's not, because I love her so much, and it would just be great to have like Asian women doing things, unlike Gemma Chan and Captain Marvel. So I hope it's her, but we'll have to see, I guess.
Yeah, I think this, based on his hairstyle in this shot, it's old. It's Hawkeye. Like
That's
this
fair.
is this is
No!
this is the flat hair. This is what Clint Barton was wearing as Hawkeye. I think this is just him showing his daughter how to shoot a bow.
That's literally exactly what I thought.
Yeah, I don't think it's Kate Bishop.
But what if he has an adoptive Asian daughter? Would that make you happy?
Yes.
Okay.
Give me an Asian Kate Bishop. Because here's the thing, we've started to like tease these like new lady characters, and potentially we'll have like a Monica in the next film because it's 25 years later, and so she'll be old enough to like have possessed superpowers or become a fighter pilot or something. And I just, with a lot of what Feige's been teasing, I want to say since Thor Ragnarok, since we got Valkyrie, and Tessa Thompson during that press conference said, listen, the women are coming. We pulled Feige aside. We said we need more representation. He's working on it. And so we have, 3 white lady superheroes already in the Marvel Universe doing pretty consistent work. It would just be great to have like, just, one Asian superhero lady.
Yeah. No, I think that they're showing that they are trying. Like Shang-Chi being on the docket for development, like shows that they are at least aware that they need to start spreading diversity. So I think a role like Kate Bishop would be, I think they would know that it's the perfect opportunity. And I don't think they're going to bend that character to be like Clint's actual daughter, because there's no reason to do that. But I do think this is his daughter. I believe her name is Lila.
I think that's totally fair.
And like, so we'll see. I did pull more Clint stuff in these next 2 photos. Him and Black Widow holding hands.
If his wife is dead, I guess they can get it on now.
But only if his wife is dead.
Don't cheat on your wife, Clint.
But how awkward will it be if she comes back, by the end of the movie, and she sees him holding hands with Scarlett Johansson?
I thought that was just your best friend, and you told me there was never really a relationship there, and I'm confused. Yeah, we've seen Clint and Scarlett be and Black Widow be shipped around a lot.
Look, they both have 3 different names we can refer to them as. He has 4. Because you can call him Jeremy Renner, Clint Barton, Hawkeye, or Ronan. It's very hard to keep track of.
Listen, you guys know who we're talking about. I wouldn't I feel like we've gotten pretty far in the Black Widow Hulk storyline, and that needs a conclusion. So I'm just hoping we wrap up whatever that is now that they're back on the same planet.
That's the thing. I still like, and I know that like we've talked about before, Natasha, because Scarlett Johansson's so charismatic, has good chemistry with everyone.
It's true.
So that's part of why you're like, every time she's alone with a character, you're like, I totally ship them together.
Is this a romance?
But I do like, maybe it's just because I want Bruce to find some happiness. I kind of ship the 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I like seeing them together because he's such a sweet character. You're just like, oh, I just want the best for him. I want him to be happy.
I think she loves Hulk, and she's indifferent on Banner.
She is
It's like Black Cat with
so much.
Spider-Man, just not into Peter Parker.
This headcanon so much.
That's awesome. If we skip down to 2 more, we can go past the 2 that I'm talking about. But Scott Lang, it looks like this is a frame where he is just now, like he has just found his way out of the quantum realm.
Right.
You think he saved himself from the quantum realm?
Well, he gets out of there somehow. And based on the previous trailer where he shows up at the mansion and like they're like, what's Scott doing here? It's clearly not the Avengers
who did it,
who did it. So I think he figures out I would be shocked if Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne didn't put in some kind of escape button.
After last time? Right, okay, that makes sense.
Like, that's the thing. They teased that moment where he's like, hey, guys, stop messing around.
Yeah.
But I think it's like 4 seconds later, he's like, okay, I'm going to pull the rope.
Right.
Or there's like a video pops up and it's like, hey, if you're still in there, clearly something went wrong. Push these 2 buttons. We'll see you in a minute, Scott.
Yeah, even if Pym is like too gung-ho to do it, Janet's way more level-headed and she's going to be like, I was down there for like 30 years.
Let's not have that happen again. I really hope that's the case. Or I wouldn't mind like a new super scientist coming in just like last minute, low-key being like, I was exploring and I see you in here. And why are you here? It's weird.
But like the fact is like, this really is a meaningful shot to me on top of it. Like, it's really cool from like this comic book perspective with Scott looking like just like Warner, but like the missing posters covering that telephone.
Oh God, that is devastating emotionally.
I mean, like that's 100% real, like that kind of thing. Like I still remember, not to get heavy for a moment, but I still remember those posters being around New York. Like, because I grew up in New York and I was there on September 11th, and that's what people were posting. It was just just like plastered of like, if you've seen this person, call this number, like please, I can't find them.
Yeah,
because you don't know. And like, this is even more you don't know.
Right.
50% of the population just went gone.
And if you didn't see it with your own eyes,
you have no idea what to believe.
No idea what happened.
Yeah,
it's the leftovers and the craziest parts of the leftovers. And like, I just wanted to watch that show again and be like headcanon it into the Marvel.
I look forward to the cigarette smoking, coffee drinking, all white wearing cults that form. Post Thanos snap.
I'm sure. They wear purple though.
They wear purple on the show? For Thanos. We worship our new god.
We see this next shot after Scott, where I think this is probably right at the top of the movie, where we see the Quinjet like flying back in to New York City. It's probably them coming back. If you look in the background, about half the buildings are dark.
Yeah, they are.
So there's plenty of lights. The bridge is on, but a lot of these buildings went dark. So I think
I didn't even think about how much less traffic there would be if there was an actual Thanos snap.
There'd be no traffic.
Feel like a bad person for being excited about.
Look, we don't even need a Thanos snap. We need a leftover style like 2%, and that would clear up the 405 in a heartbeat. I've talked about this, LA. But Rocket climbing on War Machine is
okay.
Dope.
So
It looks like new War Machine armor.
I look forward to the fan art of this so I can buy it and print it out and have it as a poster, because it's just so effing cool. Like, this is the kind of like panel you would see in a comic book and be like, it's about to be on.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But so I'm picturing from this moment, like, because like if you think about it, like Rocket, who is a great engineer and like knows way more tech than is available on Earth, like working in Tony's lab at Avengers HQ. We're gonna get that. We're gonna see Rocket like disassemble. Do you think Rocket's gonna start messing with the arm? I forget its name, like the arm from the original Iron Man.
Of course.
Oh my God! I hope there's a scene with the two of them. It'll be great.
Oh my gosh!
Anyway,
hey, what was this folder marked Ultron? I opened it. Is that a problem?
I loaded it into this like arm. Is that bad? This next shot, I stitched together all of the different uniforms from the end of them in the now confirmed white uniforms.
Yes.
So good.
Which look like it's more and more looking like this is going to be the quantum realm like protective costume. It has shades. It looks very similar to what Hank Pym was wearing in Ant-Man and the Wasp. His was red and white, but or red and gray, but like it's the same basic construction, but it's been like shrunk down and like fitted to each one of these people. My favorite detail about this is if you look at this image and the first thing you see is Cap, like Captain America, with the thing, and it looks like it's like, oh, this guy like big like muscle suit like thing, and then they cut to Scott Lang and it's this like flat like just piece of white.
That's not Scott's MO.
Yeah, he doesn't need the muscles, and also
Well, he doesn't have the same amount of muscle.
All right, well look, no muscle shaming here.
Thank you. Well, somebody said it.
What we see in this shot, because this is the same silhouette shot that we saw in the last trailer, but who's included now? Tony and Nebula.
Tony and Nebula. Yay.
So we're going into the quantum realm. The only person I don't see in this is Bruce. And
you can't Hulk out Nebula. I'm just trying to imagine it. It seems like that would not be a great idea, right?
Well, I want to see.
Imagine a giant Hulk floating around in there.
I think what my prediction based on this is that Hulk is totally in there, but they painted him out to not let us know that it's going to be Hulk.
They frequently do that with Hulk, so it wouldn't surprise me. I feel like the last 2 Avengers movies trailers, Hulk was like depicted as one thing, and then you get into the movie, you're like, that's not what was happening.
I mean, there's whole like different things. Like there's a Funko toy out there that was like listed as in part of being from Infinity War, where it's Hulk busting out of the Hulkbuster armor. Which, like, I don't, it's on Amazon. Look it up. This is a real thing. I don't have the image because
Sounds amazing.
But, like, was that an alternate version of the script that, like, Funko was getting ready for? Where Hulk, like, comes out in Infinity War? Who knows? I like to think that it was, and that we're going to get Hulk, like, real quick in some way. But I look forward to finding out more about that. And then, of course, Thor and Carol.
This part is awesome.
It was the best part of the trailer. The stare down. Like, she's just like, I feel it coming. I'm just not even worried. And then she gives her the quickest glance. Let me just register what your weapon is. Great. Are we fighting or are we friends? Like, Carol's ready to go.
So I pulled two pictures of this, Marissa, because I love her dead eye stare where it's just staring contest, and then as he it flies by her, she just smirks at him. She smirks at him.
I've seen gods before, is what that smirk says. Like, I'm not afraid of you. Carol is. Never mind. We'll get into that later. I'm gonna hold it off. I'm gonna hold it.
Look, I totally ship this. Here's why. Because I could, can you imagine the beautiful half Asgardian blonde babies, which I am going to say right now would be named Heimdall Danvers, because yes, they gave the baby her last name.
Well, just Heimdall. You got me with Heimdall. That's where you got me.
Oh
man.
I like them. I just ship Carol and Mariah so hard that it's hard for me to I just want to see them smash things together. And I really want to see, taking, without any spoilers, the end part of Captain Mar-Vell and mix it with the end part of Thor Ragnarok, and imagine the two of them just lighting it, oh my god.
Oh, I want to see them.
It's gonna be amazing.
I want to see them fight together, but also I had that other thought, and I wanted to share Heimdall Danvers with everybody because
brilliant.
It made me laugh. The other big thing in this trailer were all of the quotes. We broke down the visuals. There was a few other things, apparently in the back of one shot of Scott, you can see some explosions going off, and people are pretty sure that means that that's HQ being attacked, potentially by Thanos. I don't know if it'd be Thanos right at the top. And they've said that all the trailer footage is pulling from the first 20 to 30 minutes of the film.
That was actually a question I had, because
God.
Is that confirmed? Because up until now we thought it was the first 15, maybe 20 minutes. So now is this still
or
all
15
early?
to 20?
But this is all still early in the film, as far as we know.
I assume that's what Feige said that the trailers were all going to be pulled from the very beginning. Right. They're not legally bound by that. But if that's true, it makes sense. If the Avengers HQ is attacked, there's some explosions. We see Scott running, jumping off of a pencil, which made me giggle.
Amazing, totally.
Yeah. And we see Cap with that that face of just people. A lot of people think it's his last stand, but I don't think they're going to pull from that for this trailer. I think that's just a battle right at the top of the movie.
My whole heart sank to my stomach for a minute. I know it's probably coming, but I'm still not ready.
Nope, I'm just pretending like it's not going to happen until it happens, and then I will cry.
And we just have a breakdown in the theater together.
And everybody's like, "What's wrong with those two ladies?"
It's no, because we have feelings, you jerks.
I understand.
Okay, over a decade of our lives.
No, it is.
Okay.
Oh God.
Let's talk about some of these quotes, because I love the voiceover that they chose from here. First, we started with what sounds like Tony sending another message to Pepper. I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
I'm gonna just start crying in the beginning of this movie, to be honest with you.
Tell me what you guys think. Do you think it is him saying I was hoping to pull off one last one by surviving and getting back to you, or is this a message that she I'm gonna break your heart. Is this a message that she finds with some adorable gift of he saved the cup that they were like.
So we get like an official proposal. Oh my gosh!
Well, they proposed in
at the end of the Spider-Man movie. We see them go into the thing, but we don't see an official proposal. He's just holding on to the ring.
So maybe what if that's a quote from the?
I can't.
From the press conference.
Won't be ready.
I'm just trying to break you guys. And then we get a quote from the love of my life, Peggy Carter.
Aww.
The world. I'm sorry, Cap, but I can't help it. The world has changed, and it's from Winter Soldier. The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best, and sometimes the best we can do is to start over. Now, a lot of people are thinking this is like another like chip towards time travel.
Sure.
In the movie. We have, the time stone's in play. So
true.
Quantum realm is in play. Time travel is in time travel's there. If they want to use it, it's available. It seems the most logical way to stop Thanos is to go back and like mess with the timeline. But what are the time travel rules of this universe? It seems that we can change things. Doctor Strange did. So I don't think we're following I think we're somewhat in Back to the Future rules where you can go back and mess with things. It's just going to change the timeline.
That's what I was thinking.
But it's not gonna break time. It's not Doctor Who.
Doctor Who,
rules.
yeah. Like where you can't mess with big events because it'll screw up everything.
Do you guys think we're gonna get Peggy Carter again?
Absolutely.
Young Haley Atwell, or like Haley Atwell as like Peggy.
So I did a recent rewatch with Hector Navarro. We watched the first Avenger and the first Avengers movie. And if you look at the start of their relationship and every single moment in Steve's existence sort of keeps coming back to, oh, hey, we missed that date. Oh, hey, we should have had more time together. Like, even to the fact that he's like, you're dating her granddaughter right now. Like, that's kind of like a time weird jump thing. It just seems like the only way Steve's story could end is at that, like, meeting Peggy where he was supposed to meet her and having that dance.
Or there's a way more depressing way, which is he goes to the great beyond, and who's there to greet him? Peggy Carter.
No, that would also be acceptable. That would also be an acceptable ending to me.
Valhalla, perhaps.
That would be better.
Oh, shut up. No. Oh, God. Tears. Okay, I'm fine. It's okay. If he goes to Valhalla as a warrior, oh, my God.
He should.
Obviously.
And let's be clear, so should Peggy.
Yes, absolutely. You're definitely right.
And she would be there because she started S.H.I.E.L.D. I want it so much. Okay, I'm fine.
Kristian, stop making girls cry.
Wouldn't be the first time.
What if, and this is some Doctor Who nonsense, so stick with me, but what if we go back in time, because we never met the guy that Peggy does have kids with and marries. We never did. And as I say this theory, I will remind you that Sharon Carter is her niece, not her granddaughter.
Correct.
Oh, right.
What if he goes back and it's him that then they spend the life together and they just have to keep it quiet?
Because
old
it already
Steve.
happened.
Yeah, it's like a little bit older Steve, then we wouldn't have even recognized
No, this
him.
weirds me out. I don't like it.
But thanks for pointing out it's her niece.
Don't date your wife's niece. Bizarre.
Still weird, but
less weird.
Less weird if you use my theory.
Yeah. I like your theory sort of, but I think Valhalla is more fun.
We have Thor talking about I saw all these people die. Like we talked about like whether Thor is going to be like really crushed by all this because of the you should have gone for the head. Like if he hadn't gone for the punishment
higher.
pill. Well, he did it too because he wanted Thanos to feel it and he wanted to say something to him. But if he hadn't done that, this would all have been fine. It's the guilt. It's the guilt that Star-Lord should also be feeling, but he got dusted.
Oh, Star-Lord. He made me the most
don't get me
mad.
started.
There's literally no one who didn't leave that movie like, what the hell?
That movie's too old for me to go back in on Star-Lord.
Did we just lose? What happened? Did we just... Yes! Damn
because
it!
Of
just
you.
Because of you! Okay, sorry.
Andy.
Cap coming in, Captain America coming in. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some should, but not us.
That's right.
This, and then Black Widow saying we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try. This goes into the theory that we talked about that no one in the public in the world is going to know that the events in Wakanda, so they're not going to blame the Avengers outright. Maybe in the why didn't you do something? But they're, I don't think, going to confirm to the public what happened. I think it's going to be a mystery.
It doesn't even seem like they're out in the public. Everything we've seen of them has been very much like we are insulated inside the thing. We've just been focusing on getting this signal up to the sky. Like whatever Fury was trying to reach, we need to reach that. So it wouldn't surprise me too if they were just like, we're just disappearing off the planet while we figure out a solution.
Yeah, the only time we do see them go out, as in the previous trailer, we saw Steve at what looked like it was a public
like a support group. I was gonna
and
say
that was like in a similar place to where he went to the military support group in Winter Soldier. And then we will. Whatever it takes. And then Tony Stark coming in. Whatever it takes. And you're like, Tony's here too.
The Avengers assemble. Listen, if somebody calls Avengers assemble in this, I will be on the floor.
They still haven't officially. They've never
done
it, right?
They've never said it.
You monsters.
Let Cap say it now.
And then we got
the last one, please.
With this, I'm sure that they will. They have to. They've waited this 10 years. And then we got this beautiful poster.
I love this poster.
Classic.
Off of as well this morning. I mean, it's a classic Hollywood big movie poster because it's
it's Star Wars style poster.
It's the same. It's the same as the Infinity War trailer poster rather. I think I have one of those in my apartment.
Although the Infinity War poster is so much busier than this.
Because it had double the characters.
It quadrupled the cast.
Double the characters.
I believe it's the same graphic designer who did this poster.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh.
Very cool.
Transmission coming from Hala, the Kree homeworld.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the Endgame trailer, you guys?
Movie can't come soon enough.
I literally can't wait now.
This is so glad they only made us wait a month. They're like, you got a month to see Carol, and then it's time for the Avengers.
Yeah, it's already
not to burst in. It's like 6 weeks. I just got to make sure that I want to manage expectations. It's 6 weeks. I'm here to make people upset. All right.
So let's move on. We're going to throw in some other news before we get into Captain Marvel. We're going to do it real quick. Shang-Chi this week
really excited about that,
has officially found its director, and it is Destin Daniel Cretton.
Yes.
And if you haven't heard of him, that's probably fair. He hasn't done he hasn't directed any blockbusters or big things. Joelle, you've seen one of his films.
Short Term 12 premiered South by Southwest. In it was an unknown Brie Larson, an unknown Lakeith Stein, unknown Rami Malek, and an unknown Stephanie Beats. It is an insanely good high school fun comedy. He's understands human interactions, and he's really good at heightening drama without going over the top. And so I'm really excited to see what I imagine will be a subdued sort of Marvel movie, because it's going to be in the style of a kung fu movie, which is it's exciting, because what I love about the Marvel movies is the fact that they're able to blend genre.
Yeah.
And with the Iron Fist series that I've been pretty vocal about not enjoying, we've been waiting for a palate cleanser, and I think this could be it. And for them to get a director of this caliber, and I love they keep working with indie directors too.
Yeah.
It just makes it all the more exciting to see what kind of films are we going to get.
I mean,
right. It gives it more different tones for each film, and they should be, because they're different characters.
This is how we avoid superhero burnout, is by getting a wide variety of voices to tell different types of superhero stories.
Yeah, it's comic books. It's not necessarily superheroes.
Right. I'm excited to see this
he
character.
also is directing a film that comes out next year called Just Mercy, which has a familiar Marvel cast headlining it, in Brie Larson and Michael B. Jordan.
And it's her third movie with third movie with Brie Larson.
Yeah,
so
and
he works well with Captain Marvel.
And this one, just from the log line, is a little bit more on the dramatic side. It's about a civil rights defense attorney recounting his experiences and details from a case of a condemned death row prisoner. A little heavier than
sounds
hysterical comedy. But the fact that he's somebody who can play with drama and comedy implies to me that Shang-Chi is going to do the same. And so that, I think,
That's
plays
what makes
really
the Marvel
well
films
to,
the best, is being able to, again, blend the comedy and the drama and the different yes.
Okay,
Makes you want to
skibbity
laugh
bopping.
and cry.
Booby bop.
I'm skibbity bopping. Noah Hawley teased some stuff about Doom this week, and you guys know I had to bring it up. But apparently he got a call from Kevin Feige, he said at one point, about his Doom script that he was developing. So if you don't remember this, Noah Hawley, who worked on Legion, was asked by Fox to develop a Doctor Doom solo movie. And obviously the Fox deal is going through, so that project is majorly in question. But apparently Kevin Feige called him to be like, hey, are you still working on that?
Yeah.
And like, I guess he's completed at least a version of the screenplay.
Yes.
But he's like, there's nothing that says that they're going to definitely do it.
Sure.
And with all this, who knows where it fits into Marvel's, as he put it in his 25,000 year plan. But he did tease what the plot was going to be, and it was going to be told through the story of and this is from a book as well, a reporter coming into Latveria.
This is such a good book. I'm so sorry.
I know.
It's such a good book.
What is it? The Books of Doom,
Yes,
I believe it's called. I love that.
my God.
It's a miniseries. You can read it on Mar-Vell Unlimited. It's a great series of books, but that's the one that he teased they would be doing. And it's a journalist coming in and hearing Dr. Doom's story of like how he grew up and like the question of, is he good, is he bad, which is why I love that character.
Yeah.
And he's been one of my favorite
To his people,
Marvel
he's
characters.
amazing. Super great leader.
Yeah, he's evil to people who are not his family, but he is beloved by the people of Latveria, and that dichotomy is why that character's so good. Okay, I gotta skippity about myself.
No!
Talking about Doom, it's so hard. I'm so sorry. Hopefully this won't be the last we hear of that movie, because I think Noah Hawley doing a Doom movie is so amazing, and I think he could probably bend it to fit into the Marvel universe.
Easily.
Especially if you go with the idea that Latveria has been isolated all this time, and that's why we've never heard of them up until now. It bends right into the MCU. Sorry, skibbity bopping. Okay. Marvel TV time, real quick.
Marvel movie news. We're talking TV time.
Okay, all I have time to do is mention this because I need to talk about Captain Marvel. There is a supposedly animated series coming to Disney Plus where they are going to be adapting, or at least using the basis of the What If line of comics from Marvel. Yes. Disney Plus is going to be doing, according to Slash Film, going to be doing a series of What If stories that will basically not be canon to the MCU, but we'll do supposed to remember the first one is going to be what if Loki had Thor's hammer instead of Thor. That kind of nonsense they're going to do animated on Disney Plus. We don't know if they're going to use the MCU actors, but by it being by animated, it seems more easy that they could pull them in.
Also, Disney owns you, and if you look at like their Star Wars, a lot of the Star Wars actors come in and do the animated shows. So
because it's really easy to come in for a day and do voiceover.
And especially because Loki's already signed up to do a Disney Plus TV
and that
show.
One, but like, do you bring in Tom Holland to do the Spider-Man ones of like, what if this, what if that? It's so many things.
Well,
if you want to know more about What If, because we don't have time to talk about it today, on Sunday, Kristian and Xia over on Marvel TV Weekly, our sister show, will be doing an in-depth look into What If comics and what that show could look like. Let's talk about Captain Marvel. Woo! Okay, first spoiler-free review for you, those of you who haven't seen it, and then we will warn you when we're getting into it. I want to know, starting with our guest, what did you think, no spoilers, of Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel is a phase 1 movie released now, which is a little confusing, especially as we start to study, learn, and realize how to watch universal storytelling. That being said, we got a buddy cop movie out of Marvel, and the cops are so awesome. And there's 2 fight scenes and then a fighter jet pilot scene. And listen, if you're into Star Wars where they're racing, it gives you so much of that. It also, somebody said it reminded them of the Will Smith Independence Day fight scene. And I was like, I see it. Thrilling. So good. I cannot wait for the next one.
Yeah, I think I hadn't heard that before, but the concept of phase 1 movie in this case, that seemed really, that you think you hit your nail on the head there. But I want to ask you guys this question. This is the big one, and I want to go around the table on this one. It's the most important question. Did you enjoy the movie?
Yes.
Kristian?
Yes.
To me, it was only
Yes or no?
Okay.
No, it doesn't have to be yes or no.
No,
I didn't say
it was-
but the
Yeah,
question,
I know her real
Thanks a
answer.
lot.
the question is, did you enjoy the movie?
It was only okay. It was a little bit of a letdown to me, to be honest.
Okay.
I was not thrilled.
I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed my time. I've seen it twice now. I enjoyed
here.
it both times. It is a movie that I think once you stop and like think more deeply about it, you're like, yeah, there's problems with it, but while I'm watching it, I'm still having a great time.
Yeah.
That's my main thing about it. So with that said, I want to get into our full review portion of it. So if you guys haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. All of the spoilers are about to be talked about on the show today. I highly encourage you to go see it because it is fun and there's a lot of great things about it. Brie Larson does a wonderful job in this role, and I think that it does some really surprising things that I think thought was really cool, and we'll get into those now. Spoiler warning is up. You have been warned. Don't yell at me. Yeah.
Got the spoiler lighting.
There we go.
Watching on YouTube. Very apparent.
Red for Captain Marvel. Yeah. Okay. Did you guys have any... So I want to start with the positives.
Okay.
Did you guys have any favorite moments, favorite scenes?
Listen, where this movie succeeds, where it is thrilling, where it is connecting on a human level, very oddly is in all of the like additional characters surrounding Carol, like Mariah and Monica. Perfect. Excellent. Lashana Lynch came into every scene and was like, so I'm going to be up against a Oscar winner? Cool. I'm going to just act my whole self off. Like, she was so perfect. The pep speech she gives Carol, oh my God, tears, so good. And then Monica being like, Mom, I just don't know what kind of example you're setting for me if you don't go into outer space and kick alien butt. So valid. So good. Now I'm going to forget. Jude Law in his role was great. Annette Bening, stunning, stellar. But really, it's Sam Jackson and, guys, help me.
Ben Mendelsohn?
Yes, and Ben Mendelsohn. Ben Mendelsohn was so funny. We've only gotten to see him do these like very sketchy, like dark space baddies for
like
so long.
Ready
And so
Player One too. Just sorry,
Yeah,
because
no.
I just saw that, and then to go from that to this, I was like, oh yes.
it's so great to see him be able to like expand and be so damn funny. I loved the cast surrounding Carol, and I think that's what could prop up a second film. If they continue to build off of those characters.
For sure. And we'll talk about sequel potentials as well. Kristian, do you have any favorite moments?
You nailed what mine mostly were. I just, as cool as it is to watch her with her powers, like, wow, this is all amazing, like, especially when she really cuts loose. I was just like, man, I just want to watch her on a road trip with Fury. Like, they could stop off for lunch, maybe they do some bowling. Like, they don't even do the story. I just loved watching them together, especially that moment when she's like, great, now I have to go back and save this guy after he ratted me out to his bosses. So I think just watching their bond, I was like, not what I was expecting. Buddy cop movie is exactly the way to describe it.
It was giving me such miscongeniality vibes at certain points where they were just being like goofy with each other and calling one another out. But like, she was always like, like an authority figure first. Oh God, just that their dynamic was wonderful.
My single favorite thing is, and I alluded to this last week when we weren't giving spoilers, I love that Monica Rambeau is in this movie because when I started reading comics, she was Captain Marvel, and she continued to be Captain Marvel for pretty much all time I read comics monthly. She becomes the leader of the Avengers, for God's sake. So I love that she's in the movie. And as soon as you saw her, you're like, oh yeah, this is great. I can't wait for whatever that is. So that's the thing I was most excited about in the movie because I didn't know she was in it. So I was very much surprised.
I have to say, my favorite part is definitely Goose. I'm sorry, guys.
You don't have to be sorry. Goose is amazing.
So great. I was like, wait a second. Why is everybody talking about this cat like it's this crazy, dangerous being? Is there something I don't know about? Oh, yes, there is.
He has time pockets.
He's crucial to the fate of the universe. That
and Nick
cat.
Fury's eye.
I want one.
And we'll talk about that. Yeah, I think so. Overall, with the movie, I think for me, like some of my favorite stuff was the like I know everybody's like waiting for me to say Coulson, and I did like Coulson, but
he was great.
He was great. But for me, I think it was Talos and that twist was a top moment for me because it's so rare that a Marvel movie genuinely surprises me. Because look, we have to, for hosting the show, like we study this stuff. We're predicting and like running through all these ideas, and even when it does something that we're like was not the one that we were expecting, it's like something we thought about and like predicted as a backup plan. But I didn't see that twist coming, and I liked it. Yeah. I have some there's some debate about and we'll talk about like the Kree-Skrull War and how that might have been handled differently, but they surprised me, and I really liked that.
I have to agree. In 35 years of reading Marvel Comics, I have an impression of the Skrulls, and this was not it. So I was so surprised that they went that way, and I think it was nice to be surprised, because how often do you get surprised by movies anymore?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that right now, as long as we're here. What did you guys think of this version? Are you okay with a sympathetic Skrulls?
Absolutely. The thing is, for those of you who understand where I come from comics, is I got into comics late, so I was in college, and I was very much either an Indies or a DC girl, because Batman was my guy coming up. And so I got into Marvel Comics even after that. And the Kree-Skrull stuff I learned mostly through Wikipedia or other comics kind of referencing back to it. And it always seemed such a strange element to me to be like, we gave you technology, but we didn't enjoy the way you used it, so we're just gonna bomb the hell out of it. It's just this is maybe not the people you want to support and put your weight behind. And it was really exciting, and perhaps a commentary on our own immigration issues, which actually is a global issue if you look at immigration and how countries are handling it. To have just that little bit of politics in there, and to sort of bring it home and I don't want to say humanize, because they're definitely different creatures, but to be empathetic and sympathetic to that kind of situation was great. And to me, it makes Captain Mar-Vell a better hero, because she's questioning who she's working for. And I think we've seen them do that with Captain America too, who, if you had less talented people, would have been well, he's an American soldier and he fights for American truth, justice, and those ideals. If you're only going to fight for them as ideals, as opposed to really exploring what that means and how to implement them, falls flat, and it's hard to sustain and carry a story that way. So to do it for both Captain America and Captain Mar-Vell, I think it was genius, and I think it connects us much more to Carol's journey, which we needed, because we already knew so much about where she was coming from and who she was. It was vital that we had this twist at the end, because as much kind of wishy-washiness as people have about this film, I think without that twist, it would have fallen really flat.
Mm-hmm. I like that twist of the showing the multifaceted side to the war. I wish the only part of it that disappointed me, and this is one of those things where it's again, I enjoyed the movie overall. I left the movie I was that was awesome. I'm gonna go read more Captain Mar-Vell again. But I do wish that they had gone a little bit heavier on the dramatic side of these things. The Kree-Skrull War, I think, is one of the places where it's as much as I like the Talos part of it, I think they could have gone a lot further with it. Part of what the Kree-Skrull War is to me in the comics is it is a war that has gone on so long that nobody knows why they're fighting anymore, because they're just reliving the injustices of the previous generations, and it's gone on for hundreds or thousands of years that these two races hate each other. And when they revealed that, to me, I wanted to see more of the Skrulls being bad. And we got Talos talking about there's dirt on my hands too, but he said it. We didn't really see it as much, and I wanted to see more of the Kree at the end of it being good but multifaceted, good but also they hurt Carol and they used her in this way. So that was the thing is by the end of this, I feel like the Kree-Skrull War has a good guy and a bad guy, and I wish that they had focused more on the no good guys in war.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
We never hit a full war movie style on this, and I think that's really the biggest failing of this movie. I got to talk to Kelly Sue DeConnick for The Hollywood Reporter. You guys can totally check out the interview, because she is effing brilliant. And if you don't know, Kelly Sue created this version of Carol Danvers, not the character, but this iteration of her.
And you see her in the movie.
You do, right in the train station.
The only person in my theater that audibly
Did you scream,
giggled.
Kelly?
I didn't scream it, but I was ha! And then nobody else around me reacted. So I'm just all right.
I talked to maybe 6 comics fans who were all like, Kelly? What you doing here, girl? But her goal in making this version of Captain Mar-Vell was she wanted to create a female army person that we could identify with, who wasn't like a mom or a killjoy or suffering a lot of pain. A lot of the stories we see about women in the military or women in armed services is either sexual assault based, which is a lot of documentaries and stuff recently. It's the only woman there and she's got to fight super hard to like be noticed and recognized, or she's the one who's kind of like sassing them. She's already risen through the ranks and she's telling them what to do and she's kind of a killjoy. For guys, we have Captain America, we have George Washington, we have a ton of dudes we know who are military icons and we can picture and draw them instantly. We don't have that for women, and that is what Carol Danvers is supposed to be. And I know some people came out and were disappointed with Brie Larson's performance. I wasn't one of them, but I will say that I don't think the movie gave her space to be a military woman first, to be a woman who is like, I don't know if you guys know a lot of women in the military. I know a handful of women in the military, and there's a certain way that they carry themselves and a certain way they talk and address other individuals because they're in the military that you kind of don't ever get from Carol. I think what we were really missing was Black Panther had such a great introduction to the wars and the chaos, and we didn't need to spend a lot of time trying to figure out why the Jabari don't drive with the rest of Wakanda. We got that up front, and I think to your point, Zach, if we had like a history, like Carol's in class learning about like the history of the Kree and the Skrull, we can understand, you know, the perspective a little bit more. If perhaps we see her doing like drills and really, you know, focusing on her military career as opposed to like, I can't sleep, but I need to fight it out. It's a lot of like little things like that could have lifted the story into more prominence, I think.
So that you gave me a perfect transition to, because I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about Brie's performance in the movie. Because to me, this was a very different version of Carol than we get in the comics. It's not that I didn't like it, but I never read Carol as very funny person. Like, this is like Carol like got influenced by Spider-Man at some point, where she's
said
like,
Sailor Moon was a major influence on her portrayal.
Okay. Well, it's just like the Carol Danvers in the comics, to me, and this is different writers, different like arcs and all that, like I've always read her as a much more serious person. Not that she doesn't joke, but that she is very much like,
Carol has a bad sense of humor. Like, it's messed. Like, her sense of humor is kind of messed up. Where you're like, that's not funny, Carol.
but that's the thing. She is a more serious. She's a military person. So she has a very specific thing. But this version was much lighter. It was much more kid friendly.
Say it, Zach. It's likable.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like they're trying to push her to be more likable.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
so
actually wasn't what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
But
all the words you just said alluded to that. To likable. She's lighter. She's nicer. She's, you know, more fun. All that just makes her more palatable. And I know Mar-Vell had to be nervous. Like, the thing, like, this movie had so many hurdles to clear. You know, it's Mar-Vell's first female driven story. They're going to have to face all of their like hardcore fanboys who weren't ready to see a woman lead a film or didn't think it was necessary. But they also had to figure out a way. We want to make sure that we appeal to women, but also we're trying to bridge a gap in time. And we're also trying to fill in a little bit about Nick Fury's backstory. Like, there was so much it had to do to get us ready for the next chapter. It's hard for me to fault them. Like, it's just so many hurdles to clear. I think they did an adequate job. And I've been saying this a lot too. It took Thor 3 movies to get that character right. We waited so long to figure out, like, how are we going to use Thor? How does he lead his own movies? Because he was great in, like, Avengers and stuff. He always great comedic timing, looked good in the outfit. Like, you know, the whole idea of gods coming was always great. But we didn't get a good Thor movie until Thor 3. I'm not worried about the fact that we didn't get a perfect Captain Marvel movie out the gate.
We didn't nail Doctor Strange in Doctor Strange. You nailed it in Infinity War.
True.
And in Thor Ragnarok for that. Xia, you were saying.
Where was I? What was I saying?
Talking
Sorry,
about
I got
her
lost
being
in that.
more likable.
Oh, being more likable. Yeah, I think what they did with this movie that kind of bummed me out is that they were trying way too hard as opposed to just making a good movie. Like, I just want to see a good movie. I don't need you to see pushing this like feminism thing to the forefront of it and being like, this movie is based on the fact that you guys all need to know that women are strong and powerful. Yeah, I know, I got it. Just make me a good movie.
Like, just make a woman that's strong and powerful.
Exactly.
You don't have to tell us that she's strong and powerful.
Yeah.
Did it to you? To me, it felt like they got a whole bunch of women to come in and write it, and then along the way, people kept being like, is that really what we want to do?
Yeah.
Like, there was like so much hesitation in a lot of their actions. Particularly, there's one moment where Carol like flies up in front of the ships, and she's just staring down the guys. And for women who face any kind of harassment, like, this is a very familiar moment of like, the average woman may not be able to fight you, but I'm just gonna glare at you and let you know that like this is a problem. And then to have Carol like step up right behind that and just kick so much ass, like it was so cool. And yet it kind of, we never quite build to that moment. I just think that if we have less writers and maybe just one director next time, we could have a more clear vision.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, origin movies are always hard for that reason. It's very difficult to get a good story and introduce your character and introduce stakes, and like it's the same reason that like when you watch TV shows, the pilots are not always the best example of what a TV show. Like whenever I watch, especially a sci-fi movie or a sci-fi show, rather, I tell people you got to give it 3 episodes.
Yep.
3 episodes is the rule, because the first one will introduce you to the world. The second one will introduce you, or the first one will introduce you to the characters. The second will introduce you to the world, and the third is the first actual episode of the show. Right. That's what you're gonna. So that third episode is what you're gonna see if you keep watching.
Let me just to say that for me, I thought Brie Larson was great. I knew she was a great actress. I didn't know how good she was going to be as a superhero. I didn't know that she was capable of being funny. And look, let's be honest, some of the jokes don't land that well. But the fact that she was funny at all is not what I was expecting. And that's not what I was thinking we were going to get from Carol. I thought that, like, well, this is not a particularly funny character. But to fit into this universe, to kind of make the movie a little bit lighter, I understand why they did it. It helped the banter with, like, Sam Jackson and her were so great together because they were so funny together. I think it really helped to make her more human, which is ultimately the whole point of the movie, that, well, she's not Kree, she's human, and that's why she's so special.
I still think it would have been really cool to see, her being more serious and more military person with Sam Jackson being, because he's funny. Nick Fury's funny in all the movies.
True.
And I would have liked that dynamic. I think that would have worked really well. It would have been really funny of her being serious and being like, and him like trying to joke to her and her just looking at him like, what are you talking about?
Her being
like,
the straight man.
Yeah, like, what are you trying to say to me?
Definitely.
I think that would have been really funny,
Do you guys want to hear some secret stuff? I talked to somebody who had a chance to do a rewrite. They decided not to go with their version of the rewrite. But in it, this person was telling me, they're like, the get up again moment for this person wasn't very strong. They were like, women, sure, we knock down, we got to stand back up. We know that. They wanted to rewrite it so that it was Mariah telling her, come home. Like, not just get up, but this is your home. Like, come back to us. Like, you can be here. Making the end point where she has to go into space because that's her duty and her job that much more, like, gut-wrenching. And I think this is what I mean when I say, like, just allow women the space to tell our stories as opposed to, like you were saying, like, it's feminist. Like, all right, cool. We're all down for the cause, but wow.
Did you guys think they were gun shy to do a more serious female character?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the same thing. That, like when you talk about that, it's the exact same thing that happened to Black Widow. A very serious character in the books is jokey and like fun and like a way that was like, I don't mind this, but it's not the same character.
Yeah.
I mean, even Doctor Strange is jokey and fun. These are characters that aren't particularly light, but I think that's what they think is just going to work. So you put everybody into they're all kind of funny. And I guess
you have to remember the parent company at the end of the day is Disney. This is exactly why we skipped Hank Pym's storyline, because it's messy. Disney does not want mess. What they would like you to come in and have a feel good, like blockbuster moment, which I respect, but I think we can get those moments. Like, to me, the greatest thing about Carol as a comic book character is that she was an alcoholic and she had recovered, and that you keep looking at her life through that lens of recovery, of kind of trying to stay on the straight and narrow, of trying to be in control. We get little bits of that, but instead of, in control of her desire to drink and suppress what's happening, it's her, I guess, desire to fight. She has too many emotions here. They took a lot of like the great stuff and then kind of dumbed it down, and I think we're going to have to continue to expect more of that, but I'm hoping that Disney finds a way back to its center. Again, like they did with Thor. Thor was kind of very much like, oh, here's a traditional Norse fairy tale. We're going to give you some magic stuff. But by the time we got to part 3, we had so much backstory and so much family history that he was able to be a fully like 3-dimensional character.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to that. I want to talk about Nick Fury in this movie. There's so many cool things that they dropped on us. Obviously, the big eye moment, which they did, I thought it was fun that they like teased it. Like, is your eye okay? Yeah, it's fine. I don't know if you guys caught this. They apparently Fury was in Budapest.
I did hear him say that. Yes.
When he's listing all the places he was a spy, he very distinctly drops Budapest into that list.
Oh snap! I missed that.
I'm like, oh god, please put Fury in the back of the Black Widow movie now too.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there's like a scene in the Black Widow movie with Clint, Natasha, and Fury. Yes, please. That was just like a really quick moment that I liked. What did you guys think of the de-aging on Samuel Jackson?
I
thought it was good.
Great, yeah.
I was really impressed, actually. Him and
Crazy
Coulson, too.
good.
I thought they both looked good. We got a lot more Nick Fury, but
I
thought
noticed it more on
Coulson.
Coulson.
Yeah,
There's that
agreed.
scene in the stairwell where I was like, "Ooh, that feels weird." But I
don't
never
look real.
But I never really noticed it on
Fury.
Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Like it just looked flawless. And I don't know if it's just that Samuel Jackson's just like magical unaging
He's
person.
70 and he looks maybe 55,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
max.
Exactly.
So they, and also I have no idea. I'm not tech savvy. I don't know if like having darker skin helps. Like
It might.
Tech
It would-
things,
yeah.
It
You
would.
never know.
It would absorb. I mean, darker skin absorbs more light,
Yeah.
so like you might not have to put as much detail into it or hide as much detail, kind of thing. I did like while we're mentioning Coulson in that stairwell scene, that scene was awesome to me as a deeper MCU fan because to me that was the moment that Coulson became Fury's guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I know that I can trust this guy with anything, you know.
Because he
So,
followed,
yeah.
and I like that they did that too. He's like, well, why do you think he let you go? Because he followed his instincts. He followed his gut. I like that they explained it that way instead of it just being like, oh, well, he just let him go. Well, why? Because he knew he had a feeling.
Yeah. And while we're talking about Fury, I'm also going to clear up because some people had sent me questions about this. The timeline of the Tesseract.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I know that and to me when I was watching it, and I can't explain exactly why, but when watching it, I felt like I was like, this feels like they messed with the timeline. Like this doesn't work out. Like how you've got the Tesseract powering all this stuff in the 90s, but like Howard Stark recovered it, and then we also then have it with Eric Selvig, but it all perfectly lines up because of Project Pegasus, which they name drop heavily here, but has also been mentioned in a ton of other movies. But most especially, and Marissa, I have a photo of this because I have evidence. I brought evidence to show you guys.
Show us.
The one that's the label is labeled Pegasus. It's dark. This is from the Avengers, the first Avengers. In the beginning sequence of the movie,
Yeah,
when
it
we're
is.
getting the
Oh,
Tesseract,
yeah.
if you look in the background, they are at the Joint Dark Energy whatever building. Project
Oh,
Pegasus,
first one.
NASA, and S.H.I.E.L.D. Project Pegasus, as like obviously because Agent Fury pulls up to this facility and gets ready because he's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. This is a S.H.I.E.L.D. co-venture with NASA. So Tesseract timeline, I wrote it down so I wouldn't screw it up. Howard Stark digs it out of the ocean.
Copy.
Gives it to S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point hires Mar-Vell. In my headcanon, shout out to Langley M. Neely for inspiring this, Peggy Carter hires Mar-Vell, aka Dr. Wendy Lawson, to run this project, trying to understand the Tesseract and what to do with it. This is a top secret project. Nick Fury in this movie is not anywhere near that level of clearance. I think he's like, was he level 3 or 5? He can't open a door.
Yeah, exactly.
He definitely doesn't have clearance to read about the Tesseract. But the events of this movie happen. Fury gets the Tesseract back thanks to the hairball at the end of the movie.
Thanks, Flurkin.
And thus is quickly moved up the ranks of S.H.I.E.L.D. until he eventually becomes director.
That is the best headcanon. Like,
That's great.
You guys remember the Marvel one-shots?
Yes, I missed them.
Let's get one of those where Peggy is hiring Mar-Vell because, wow.
Yes.
Like literal shivers, guys. That is the best headcanon.
Like it makes so much sense, but like let that be because like she would have been the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in
Right.
the 80s.
Yeah.
It adds up.
It matches.
I also now want to transition from that, and I'm sorry if I'm moving quickly. We don't have a ton of time left because it's almost like Marvel dropped major news on us. Well, we're supposed to talk, but anyway. Do you guys, what did you guys think of the Mar-Vell twist, which was a little backstory that I was reading about. This was a last minute change, according to the writers. Mar-Vell was written to be a man, as he is in the comics. It was going to be Phil Lawson, but they made a last minute call. They were like, what if Lawson is the same person as the Supreme Intelligence, and also if it's a woman?
Yeah, if this had not been in there, I think I would have had very different feelings about this film. It needed to be a woman. There's something, especially if you look at having placed her like mid-90s Air Force, not allowed to fly jets. You're in the middle of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. This movie is heavily queer coded. I feel comfortable saying that now. Yeah. It would have had a totally different feel for me if Mar-Vell had been a guy. And I don't think that's any shame or disrespect to the original character, but to the story they were telling. I think it's just so much more impactful to have the baton passed from a Lady Mar-Vell to Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and there's nothing inherently male about like that character, especially in this version of the story.
Right, and I think that having this character in the movie be a woman, that's not my issue. Just, I would like a backstory where she also has powers and was a superhero at some point, because to me that's a disservice to Mar-Vell. Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, is a great character. I mean, there's the first Marvel graphic novel is The Death of Captain Marvel. It like meant something because he stayed dead. He was a really important character, and I don't care if Annette Bening played that character, but there was no indication that she was anything other than a scientist. So I'm sort of like reserving judgment, like, well, maybe we'll find out more about Mar-Vell's backstory. That would be fun. And even if it is like a tie-in comic book or something. So I was surprised, and I have no problem with her being a woman. I was just like, yeah, but it's this really cool character with powers. How about that? Why don't we get some of that? You know, but it's a minor complaint though.
Yeah. We're almost out of time, so everyone, real quick, just like throw some like other like fun Easter egg stuff that was in there. Obviously, the Stan Lee stuff was like made you want to cry. I love, and Kevin Smith. There's a great thing where Kevin Smith talks about like Kevin Feige calling him up and asking him about like the Mallrats script thing on the bus, and they actually reshot the moment of her smirking after the fact because they wanted that moment to feel a little bit different. That was fun. If you notice in that post-credit scene, I just wanted to shout out to this. Her uniform is different. The logo on the center of her chest has been stretched, so it's not the same as the Kree emblem anymore. Yeah. Her hair is obviously longer, as we see in this and the trailer. We talked about it earlier. I want to ask you guys about like your thoughts on the fact that Avenger now comes from Carol. I had mixed feelings about that. I was still hoping that somehow Janet was going to have come up with the name The Avengers.
I hated it. I thought it was so stupid. I rolled my eyes. But,
okay.
Yeah. Still like the movie, but I just thought it was dumb.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay. That's all we needed. Yeah.
Bothered me a lot.
Yeah. I still wanted Janet Van Dyne to have like had a paper written for S.H.I.E.L.D. where she's like, the Avengers could be a thing.
That would have been awesome. I much prefer that.
And retcon it there. Joelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was a great discussion.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking about this. There was so much more that we could have talked about, and we may still continue this discussion next week if we decide that we want to continue it. Thank you all for joining us. Kristian and Xia, thank you for being here. Let's wrap it out by telling people where they can find you, starting. Joelle, where can everyone keep up?
Yeah, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique. I actually have an article about our main man Goose coming out for the AV Club. I think that's going to be out tomorrow, maybe. And then I have another article coming out on this about whether the film was queer baiting or queer coded. You kind of have a little bit of idea here. I think it's queer coded. I talked to a lot of queer ladies who love superheroes, and that will be on the Advocate, and you'll be able to find that on my Twitter and Instagram.
Great. Kristian.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at KristianDMZ, and Xia and I over on our sister network, AfterBuzz TV, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific. We do Marvel TV Weekly, and we will really dive into the world of what if on Sunday.
And I'm Xia Anderson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Xia_Land, XIA_Land.
All right, I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ThatZachWilson. And also be sure to check out my other podcast, Ships in the Night, where we take ridiculous characters, put them into the same, that are from different universes, and ship them romantically. This week we did a weird multi-fan fiction crossover special based on a tweet that somebody had forwarded to us, where we figured out what would happen if you had a crossover with Sonic the Hedgehog, the live-action version that's coming with Gams, Thanos, Big Daddy Thanos,
Ew.
Big Daddy Venom from the movies, and for some reason, the fact that people like sexy Pennywise. I don't understand it, but we dissected it.
I'm so disturbed, Zach.
That's over on Ships in the Night. It's online already. I can't take it back.
Ew.
Until next week, guys. Marvelites, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Marvel Movie News. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.